Imagine being the richest person on Earth and still choosing to sleep on factory floors, work through the night, and risk everything you own on ideas most people would call impossible. That is the strange contradiction at the center of Elon Musk's story. Many people think his wealth came from luck, timing, or owning famous companies, but those explanations miss the deeper pattern. Behind the headlines is a set of habits that repeatedly turned uncertainty into opportunity. The surprising part is that none of these habits require billions to start practicing. The obsession with learning faster than everyone else. When Elon Musk was a child in South Africa, he spent hours reading encyclopedias, science fiction novels, and technical manuals. By his own account, he often read for 10 hours a day. Most children collect toys. He collected mental models. That habit never stopped. Even after becoming wealthy, he continued studying engineering, physics, manufacturing, artificial intelligence, and business strategy with unusual intensity. The common image of a billionaire is someone giving orders from a corner office. Musk's wealth story is almost the opposite. He repeatedly entered industries where he lacked formal credentials and learned fast enough to compete with experts. In rockets, he read textbooks and questioned aerospace engineers until he understood the fundamentals. In electric vehicles, he immersed himself in battery technology and manufacturing systems. In software, he learned by building and debugging. Here is the crucial habit. He learns at the level of first principles rather than memorizing opinions. Instead of asking, "What does everyone else do?" he asks, "What are the physical and economic truths underneath this problem?" That sounds abstract, but it has practical power. Most people inherit assumptions from their industry, their friends, or the internet. First principles thinking breaks those assumptions apart. Consider a simple example. If everyone believes rockets must be extremely expensive because they have always been expensive, the conversation stops there. Musk questioned the cost of the raw materials and the manufacturing process itself. That habit led SpaceX to rethink how rockets are designed, built, and reused. The result was not just innovation, it was a dramatic shift in economics. This habit applies far beyond technology. A person struggling financially often focuses on surface-level tactics. A new budget app, a side hustle, a different credit card. Those tools can help, but the deeper question is, what are the real drivers of income, skills, and value creation? First principles thinking forces you to separate temporary symptoms from underlying causes. Musk's learning habit also contains an uncomfortable lesson. He is willing to look ignorant in public. He asks basic questions. He challenges experts. He admits what he does not know and then studies until he does. Many people avoid learning because they fear appearing uninformed. Wealth tends to flow toward people who are comfortable being beginners again and again. There is a quote often attributed to Musk. "I think it's possible for ordinary people to choose to be extraordinary." Whether or not every ordinary person becomes extraordinary, the habit behind that statement is clear. Extraordinary results usually begin with extraordinary curiosity, betting on the future before it looks safe. One of the most dramatic moments in Musk's life came after he sold PayPal. He suddenly had a fortune that could have funded a comfortable life forever. Most people would have diversified, protected their assets, and slowed down. Instead, he poured enormous amounts of money into SpaceX and Tesla and Solar City. At one point, he reportedly came close to running out of cash. From a distance, this looks reckless. Up close, it reveals a habit that appears throughout his career. He concentrates resources on opportunities he believes will matter in the future, even when the present is skeptical. This is not blind gambling. It is conviction backed by research, vision, and a willingness to endure uncertainty. The habit is difficult because human psychology is wired for safety. We prefer familiar jobs, familiar investments, and familiar routines. The future is uncomfortable. It does not provide guarantees. Musk repeatedly placed himself in environments where failure was possible and public. SpaceX had rocket explosions. Tesla faced production crises. Critics predicted collapse many times. Yet he continued investing time, money, and reputation into those ventures because he believed the long-term direction mattered more than short-term turbulence. There is a useful distinction here. Most people think risk means volatility. Musk often treats risk as failing to participate in major technological and economic shifts. In his view, the greater danger is becoming irrelevant while the world changes around you. This habit can be applied without risking everything. A young professional can invest in learning AI, software, data analysis, or other emerging skills before they become mainstream. An entrepreneur can build for future demand rather than current convenience. An investor can think in decades instead of headlines. The scale is different, but the principle is the same. What makes this habit emotionally difficult is the loneliness of being early. When an idea is obviously valuable, competition floods in. The largest gains often belong to people who moved before consensus formed. That period before consensus is where doubt lives. Friends question you. The media questions you. Your own mind questions you. Musk's career demonstrates that conviction is not the absence of doubt. It is the decision to continue despite doubt. Wealth is frequently created in the gap between what is possible and what is currently popular. A memorable line from his journey is that he was willing to bet on problems that would outlive him. Electric transportation, renewable energy, space exploration, and advanced AI are not quarterly trends. They are generational themes. People who think only about the next month often miss opportunities that compound for decades. That does not mean every bold bet succeeds. Many fail. The lesson is that extraordinary wealth rarely comes from playing exclusively defense. At some point, someone must place a meaningful bet on the future. Part 1 ends here, but the next habits are where the story becomes even more surprising. The richest person on earth was not built only by intelligence and bold bets. He was built by an almost uncomfortable relationship with work and by a willingness to sacrifice comfort for leverage in ways most people would never accept. Working at a level that redefines normal. There is a story from Tesla's production crisis that reveals something uncomfortable. While the company was struggling to build enough cars, Musk reportedly spent nights sleeping on the factory floor. He was not doing it for publicity. Employees saw him there because the problem demanded relentless attention. Whether you admire him or criticize him, one pattern is impossible to ignore. Musk has repeatedly worked at a level that most people would consider extreme. The habit is not simply working long hours. It is directing intense energy toward a few high-impact objectives for sustained periods. Modern culture often confuses activity with productivity. People answer emails, attend meetings, and multitask all day, then wonder why nothing meaningful changes. Musk tends to focus on bottlenecks. When Tesla was struggling with production, he did not spend his time discussing abstract strategy. He attacked the constraint that threatened the company's survival. That is a powerful wealth habit. Wealth is frequently created by solving critical problems, not by staying busy. A business grows when a major bottleneck disappears. A career accelerates when a rare skill is developed. A financial life improves when the biggest leak is fixed. Another uncomfortable truth is that Musk's relationship with work is not balanced in the way many people imagine. He has often acknowledged periods of exhaustion, stress, and sacrifice. The lesson is not that everyone should imitate his schedule. The lesson is that exceptional outcomes usually require exceptional commitment during key seasons of life. Think about the contrast. Many people want extraordinary results while protecting every comfort, every weekend, every routine, and every certainty. Musk repeatedly accepted discomfort in exchange for leverage. He treated temporary sacrifice as the price of building something much larger. This habit also explains why he could compete in multiple industries. Most people spread their attention across dozens of distractions. Musk tends to concentrate intensely on a handful of missions. Attention is a form of capital. Where you place it determines what grows. There is a quote often associated with him: "Work like hell." The deeper meaning is not mindless overwork. It is focused intensity applied to problems that matter. 10 hours of distracted effort is not equal to 10 hours of concentrated effort on a critical objective. For viewers building wealth, the practical question is not, should I sleep at the office? The practical question is, am I giving my best energy to my highest value opportunities? Or am I scattering it across low-impact distractions? That question is uncomfortable because it exposes how much potential gets diluted by convenience. Wealth compounds. So does focus. Every hour invested in a valuable skill, business, or asset can continue producing results long after the hour is gone. Musk's work habit reflects a belief that concentrated effort today can create disproportionate outcomes tomorrow. Trading comfort for leverage. The final habit may be the most misunderstood. People often assume wealth comes from consuming more. Bigger houses, luxury purchases, and visible status become the goal. Musk's journey suggests something different. Much of his fortune was created not through consumption, but through ownership and leverage. After PayPal, he could have spent his wealth protecting his lifestyle. Instead, he converted cash into ownership stakes in companies he believed could become enormously valuable. He accepted illiquidity, uncertainty, and public scrutiny in exchange for leverage. Leverage means one decision can influence outcomes far beyond your individual labor. A business can scale. A product can reach millions. An investment can compound. Ownership creates leverage because your upside is not limited to hours worked. This is where many people get trapped. They earn income, then immediately convert it into liabilities that require more income. The cycle continues for decades. Musk's habit was to repeatedly convert resources into assets with the potential to grow exponentially. That does not mean everyone should start a rocket company. The principle is broader. Building equity in a business, investing in productive assets, developing intellectual property, or acquiring skills that increase your earning power are all forms of leverage. The key is moving from being paid only for time to benefiting from scalable value creation. There is also a psychological dimension. Comfort feels safe, but it can become expensive. The more your lifestyle expands, the less freedom you have to take intelligent risks. Musk often reinvested aggressively instead of maximizing personal comfort. That choice preserved the ability to pursue larger opportunities. One of the most powerful lines from his career is not about rockets or cars. It is the implicit message that wealth is often built by delaying gratification in favor of ownership. The richest person on earth did not become rich because he spent like a rich person. He became rich because he repeatedly chose leverage over luxury. Look at the 4 habits together, and a pattern emerges. Learn obsessively. Think from first principles. Bet on the future before it becomes obvious. Focus intensely on critical problems. Convert resources into leverage rather than comfort. None of these habits guarantee billionaire status. They do something more realistic and more important. They dramatically increase the probability of creating unusual opportunities over time. The most surprising lesson from Musk's story is not that he became extraordinarily wealthy. It is that wealth appears to have been a byproduct of pursuing difficult problems with relentless curiosity, conviction, focus, and leverage. Many people chase money directly. Musk chased missions that required those habits, and the wealth followed. Somewhere tonight, someone is deciding whether to stay comfortable or invest in a future that feels uncertain. Someone is deciding whether to learn a difficult skill, start a business, buy an asset, or postpone a purchase that would impress strangers. Those decisions seem small in the moment. Years later, they become the dividing line between a life built on consumption and a life built on ownership. That is the hidden tension behind the title, The Wealth Habits That Made Elon Musk the Richest Man on Earth. The habits themselves are not glamorous. They are often uncomfortable, lonely, and misunderstood. Yet history keeps rewarding people who practice them long enough for compounding to do its quiet work.